My name is Lauren Hepworth, and I'm the chair of the Agricultural Research and Innovation Ontario, or ARIO as it is known, and I'm pleased to welcome you here today to this special event. I want to start by acknowledging that we are on treaty lands. First Nations archaeological and oral histories in the area go back some 13,000 years and include the rich history of the Attawandaron, the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Mississauga of the Credit. To provide some context, the Haudenosaunee, or people of the Longhouse, is what's it's referred to if you translate it, is the original name for what French traders going back in time called Iroquois, and the English called Six Nations. The Six Nations are composed of the Mohawk, the Oneida, the Cayuga, the Seneca, the Onondaga, and the sixth was the Tuscarora. These nations played a pivotal role as allies to Upper Canada and the British in the War of 1812 against the U.S. troops. And commemorative sites recognizing that contribution are located both east and west of here if you're interested in pursuing the history of that and the monuments that were erected because of the assistance they provided. A few words about ARIO. We are an agency of the Government of Ontario that existed for over 60 years by an act of the legislature as the Agricultural Institute of Ontario. But as of July 1st, we are newly renamed Agricultural Research and Innovation Ontario as part of the modernization of the 60-year-old legislation. ARIO is the owner of 14 research stations encompassing some 5 research stations, 14 of them encompassing some 5,000 acres of land. Dr. Potter and his team here do a fantastic job of operating and managing this station. Other stations across the province are managed by the University of Guelph. One other role for ARIO is to provide advice to the minister on research priorities and the benefits of research. And I want to give a shout out to all the legislators for passing the new act. The event was particularly notable because it enjoyed the support of all political parties in the legislature. It speaks to the fact that research, innovation, and commercialization in agriculture are so important that it transcends partisan politics. In the past few years, there's been an investment of over $150 million in research infrastructure. It is this kind of investment, past and future, which we're going to hear about today, that will contribute to meeting the Grow Ontario goals. Ambitious goals that will see farm gate production and the value-added processing sectors boost the GDP of this province. I now have the pleasure of introducing the Honourable Robert Flack, Ontario's Minister of Agriculture, Food and Agribusiness. The Minister is a graduate of the University of Guelph. He has a long history of leadership. He's been the CEO of a major national agribusiness, the President of the Royal Agricultural Winter Fair, and has served as a board member on several philanthropic initiatives. Importantly, he is the current MPP for the constituency of Elgin, Middlesex, London. Please join me in welcoming and congratulating our new Minister of Agriculture, Food and Agribusiness, Minister Flack.
Well, good morning all. It certainly is an honor and pleasure to be back in Vineland. Many moons ago and throughout my career I had a chance to come here, had family and friends that lived not far from here, so I've done a lot of business and done a lot of visiting and had a lot of fun in and around the Niagara region. And Sam, you have a great riding. Absolutely. Thank you, Lauren. Always a pleasure to be here on behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Agribusiness. I'll tell you a quick story before we get started. When I got sworn in, they said the Minister, Robert Flack, of Farming, Agriculture and Agribusiness. And I went, what? Okay. We were done. I was talking to the Premier on the Sunday after, and I said, Premier, I have one request. We need to change the name of the ministry. She goes, well, why? And I said, well, farming and agriculture kind of are the same thing, and what we do is ultimately produce food. We have to get that back into the name. And, you know, it was my first kind of request to the Premier, and it was a wonderful response. He said, call it whatever the heck you want to call it. So on Tuesday morning next, I was signed off as the first and only Minister of Farming, Agriculture, and Agribusiness, and became the Minister of Agriculture, Food, and Agribusiness. So it's certainly an honor to have that role. I remember coming here in the 80s, and it was the Vineland Research Station, and I hear Lauren still calling it the stations, 14 across Ontario, but research innovation centers now. And I can say that it was a fascinating place to visit then, and we just had a wonderful tour, and it still is a fascinating place to see. So Ian, a wonderful job that you're doing here, and I'll say it, and I'll say it through my remarks, converting research, applied research, important research and innovation to the commercialization and delivery of solutions that'll help our farmers, processors, and ultimately consumers is what this is all about. And since 1906, I think you've been here, so what a wonderful tradition right on the shores of Lake Ontario. I'm also here with my good friend Sam Oosterhoff, MVP for Niagara West, the newly minted Minister of Energy, Associate Minister of Energy, and I can tell you, he's a little bit younger than me. He's a little bit younger, I think, than all of us, but he's done a tremendous job as an MVP. He's a veteran of the legislature now, and coming in as a newbie in 22, Sam has been a great mentor to me in terms of understanding how the place works. His energy, his enthusiasm, and his commitment to you folks here in this region is unparalleled and unquestioned, never shy to share his opinion, and he's in a great role now, and he's going to serve the people of this province very well in that role. Obviously, so thank you, Sam. Obviously, you know, it's been a busy month, both of us in new roles in Cabinet. Basically, what I think I'm on right now is the listening and learning tour. Having been involved in this great industry of agriculture and food my entire life, there's still so much to learn. So whenever I get a briefing, I say, pretend I'm a newbie, start from the beginning, and I'm learning a lot. And I've learned a lot about the agriculture research innovation of Ontario in the last 30 to 60 days. Obviously, when I was a parliamentary assistant to Minister Thompson and Omaf Fra at the time. And again, I'll say something quickly about that. Moving rural affairs to be part of municipal affairs, I think, was an important step. So many issues, and Mayor is here. Sorry, there you are. There's so many small town rural issues that are impacted by the entire Ministry of Housing and Municipal Affairs and Housing. I think there's a good complement there that will serve us well. But we're still obviously joined at the hip, and we'll continue to work together, Minister Thompson and I, to serve small towns, rural Ontario, and all of agriculture and food. When the Premier asked me to take on this ministry, we added the word agribusiness. He wanted me to put an economic lens to this ministry, which is basically what I've grown up doing, and I look forward to that challenge ahead. I want to give a shout out to Minister Thompson for the Grow Ontario strategy that we implemented last year, or 2 years ago, I guess now. And obviously, the Vineland Research Innovation Centre is an important part of that Grow Ontario strategy. So, and we talked about this, Ian, and it's really important for me, from my background, having been around a lot of research. Research for research's sake is great if we need it, but converting that research, turning that research into commercialized products and programs and deliveries that can go right to industry, to our farmers, food processors, is paramount to our future success. So that is, I know, what you're doing, and we are very pleased today that we're in total support of some 260 acres, I think I'm right when I say that. Well, we got, and to all the ministry people here, we drove down, what was that road along the lakeshore? Yeah, Verity Road. It's creeping in, so we got to make sure we protect these 260 acres. So why we're really here is not to hear why I was made minister or Sam was made minister. We're here to say that we are proud, very proud, to announce that the governments of Ontario and Canada are investing $23.55 million right here at the Vineland Research Institute. You know, this investment will allow horticultural research and commercialization activities while also maintaining the infrastructure necessary to deliver on these activities. This investment is through the Sustainable Agricultural Partnership, SCAP, and demonstrates how Ontario is prioritizing research that makes an impact, again, for our farmers and agribusinesses. This is just one way that, and these are important numbers, folks. When you take a look at agri-food, farm gate to the consumer's plate in Ontario, close to $50 billion of GDP. I might suggest that we employ more people today in food and beverage than the auto sector does. It is an important, growing, prioritized industry for this government and for this province. And when you think of it, I think 800,000+ jobs throughout the province, and I will give a shout out to the University of Guelph here. For every graduate, there are 4 jobs waiting. So we have tremendous promise and potential, and again, very pleased that this money is going to be invested both in infrastructure and research in the number of years ahead. So at this point in time, I'd like to thank you for your time and attention and introduce MP Bittle, our local MP in St. Catharines, to come up and say a few words and thank the federal government for their continued support through SCAP and all the great work they do to support this research center right here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Cramdall here, I think they affectionately call it the hangar. Yes, I see a few nods. I got that right. No longer allowed in the greenhouse, which was a lovely, is the sound okay? Okay. No longer allowed in the greenhouse, which was always a lovely photo op, but I understand there's biological concerns for us all traipsing through the greenhouse these days. For almost 9 years, I've been coming and making announcements here at Vineland, and I'm always amazed because as someone who wasn't involved in agriculture, unlike the minister, someone who is just appreciative of agriculture because I like to eat, the level of technology that exists in modern farming and agriculture is astounding. I think if we just look around here to see the robotics, and even this is just what's on display. I was even looking behind the flags, and there's another robot parked behind there, which I think was on display at another announcement. We look in here and we see all of the components, and if you didn't know that you were at a agricultural research station, you'd think you were in Silicon Valley or something with the level of technology that exists. But it's important as the industry continues to deliver in a time of uncertainty. Vineland Research and Innovation Center plays a key role, not just for Niagara, but across the country. Because again, I like to eat, and I know everyone here does too. But in a time of climate change and instability, we need places and research like what Vineland does to keep us eating, to keep us fed. I look out in the crowd and I see Debbie and talking to the wine industry and grape industry about what's happened in British Columbia, and to see nearly a total crop loss because of climate change. But knowing that research, not only here but at Brock University and beyond, focusing on how we can be more effective at feeding our population, feeding our growing population, is fundamentally important. So it's exciting to be here with Sam and Robert. Rob, I know. I occasionally get Christopher.
My mother calls
yes. I had many announcement with Jim Bradley, and he was always stunned when he got introduced as James. It's like, oh, my mother calls me James. Anyways, thank you for being here and for a terrific announcement. Big thank you to the Vineland crew for hosting us this morning. As I mentioned, this is cutting-edge research that takes place at the center and is making sure our horticulture sector stays at the forefront of innovation here in Canada and around the world. Here in Niagara and across Canada, our horticulture industry drives tens of thousands of jobs and billions of dollars in our economy. None of this would be possible without our amazing growers and, of course, our amazing researchers. Each and every day, Canadian growers benefit from the discoveries by scientists here at Vineland through your partnership. You are helping growers adopt new tools and strategies to feed the world, protect the planet, and stay ahead of the competition. That includes automation and robotics, pest disease and management, environmental tools and practices, and commercialization of new plant varieties. And we talk about pest management. It was fun to be here. The last time I was here, it was introduced, I don't know if it was these bugs here, but it was introduced to a bug that was someone found in their backyard, one of the researchers found in their backyard. And how do we take this insect and use it to reduce pesticides? How do we take it and improve, again, feed us more, but also reduce the negative impacts on the land for pesticides? And so it's always amazing. And even just this year, there's a brand new pear variety, I understand. I'm looking forward to trying it in collaboration with Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada's plant breeding program, the Happy Pear. This delicious and pest-resistant variety, which is sure to be a hit with consumers and growers alike. Our governments, Government of Canada and Government of Ontario, are committed to working together to get the best returns on investment for farmers and in the sector. In fact, it is estimated that every dollar invested in agriculture research yields an additional $10 to $20 in return. So today, as the Minister mentioned, I'm pleased to join with him and Sam as we announced our shared investment, $23.5 million, to support the great work here at Vineland and for years to come. This is a significant investment under the Sustainable Canadian Agriculture Partnership and will build on our government's long legacy of support for this world-class research. As the Minister said, our shared investment will help Vineland continue its game-changing work here in the region from lab to the marketplace. It will support new varieties, new technologies, and new sustainable solutions that will help producers here in Niagara and across Canada be more profitable and more competitive. And that's good news not only for farmers, but our consumers. Once again, on behalf of Minister Macaulay, thank you for all your great work. Our investment here this morning is one more example of the great projects we continue to roll out across Ontario under the Sustainable Agriculture Partnership, backed by our investment over $500 million over 5 years. Our governments will continue to work together to ensure a strong and resilient future for Niagara and a world-class horticulture sector. So now, with that, I now pass along the floor to my colleague, Minister Sam Oosterhoff. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Chris, and a big thanks to the federal government for their commitment to agriculture and to supporting the Grow Ontario strategy of the province. And I have to say, it feels a little bit like a full circle. I see so many familiar, smiling faces here in beautiful Vineland this morning, and I think many of you were actually here for an event 2 years ago where I joined Minister Thompson to also join the federal minister, Bibeau, to sign the Sustainable Canadian Agricultural Partnership in the building just a few hundred meters from here. And so here we are now, a couple of years later, with really fantastic news, building on that signing of a 25% increase in the Canadian Agricultural Partnership. That's putting money back into the pockets of organizations like the Vineland Research Innovation Centre to do incredibly important work. And one of the pieces that we were chatting about a little earlier, when the minister was coming for a tour to visit and see the 250 acres, is we were chatting about when you go down the drive just a little ways, you're able to see the cooperative that is in place in Jordan. And so many of the fruits that they're selling from that cooperative, so much of the fruit that is being produced by tender fruit growers and other agricultural partners, the name of the variety starts with a V. And the reason it starts with a V is because of Vineland Research. And so when you're able to go out to some of the local produce and see what they're able to put on the shelves across this country and across North America, so much of that originates in these buildings. And it's because of the leadership of people like Minister Flack, it's the leadership of people like Ian and his entire team here at Vineland Research, that Ontario is a net exporter of agricultural products. Not a lot of people know that. But we have over 200 incredible commodities that are produced here across Ontario. My family, of course, is sort of in the more traditional broad crop area. I grew up with the corn and the soybeans and the wheat, but there's so many others who are here today. Can't start naming names. If you start, you'll forget everybody else. But I know that there's so many people who have produced remarkable products that are being exported not only continentally, but really being exported around the globe. But none of that would happen without the investments that are being made today. So my thanks to Minister Flack, a champion of the Niagara region, a champion of agriculture across Ontario. My thanks to Chris. Please extend that gratitude to the federal government. But most and foremost, I want to thank Ian. Ian and his team have really taken the bull by the horns, and they've said, you know what we want to do here at Vineland is not just continue a legacy that's been there for 120 years of excellence in research, but make sure that that is backed up with excellence in commercialization. And so Diane, the team, Darby, the team, everyone here at Vineland Research is driven by a mandate to ensure that what's being done here is not ivory tower academia. No disrespect to those who are in ivory towers. But I'll tell you, it's being driven by what the growers want, it's being driven by what consumers want, and ultimately, it's being driven by the economic needs of our province so that when we have products that are coming out of Vineland Research, when Ian and his team bring that product to market, there are people who are excited about it. There are people who are willing to spend their capital and ensure that that grows. So Ian, my gratitude goes to you, and with that, I turn it over to you to tell us a little bit more about what this funding is going to do for the future of Vineland Research.
Well, 23.8 million. Wow, thanks. I mean, where do you amazing. Thank you very much. But I'll get into the more formal side of it. Thank you, Sam, for the introduction. Congratulations to both ministers, associate ministers, on your new appointments. I look forward to working with you both. Always happy to help on the energy file, Sam. But bonjour à tous, bienvenue à Vineland. On behalf of the Vineland Board of Directors, the management, and all the staff, I'd like to thank you for being here today. Your presence is critical for this important announcement. It means a great deal to us as we celebrate not only our achievements of the Vineland Research Innovation Centre, but also the critical support and investment we receive in order to fulfill the intent of the Sustainable Canadian Agricultural Partnership and support the economic growth of the horticultural sector in Ontario and Canada. I see many faces in the audience here, people we interface with on a day-to-day basis. Without your efforts, we cannot succeed either. So I thank our supply chain, our workers, Debbie, Mike, I thank you all, because it's the supply chain, the value chain, that leads to the consumer being happy with what they receive in the supermarkets, at the wine stores, all over the place. Now, Vineland is the only research and technology organization in Canada that focuses on the wide-ranging but critical Canadian horticultural sector. For Vineland, this is beyond research. It's applying our skills, experience, and extensive infrastructure to developing, evaluating, demonstrating, adopting, and adapting Canadian horticultural technologies and providing support to the companies, whether small to medium enterprises or multinational enterprises, for commercializing their products to the market. Through our parallel consumer and client-driven processes, this support provides the sector with the tools and day-to-day knowledge they need to drive an ever-evolving horticultural landscape. Today, we acknowledge the generous investment and support, and I use the word investment, not funding, investment, because there is an outcome to this. Investment that supports and makes our work possible. This multi-year sustainable cap investment allows Vineland to continue our support to the sector and help it manage the market risk into the future, thereby enhancing competitiveness and profitability of the horticultural sector here in Ontario and Canada. From technology solutions to biological crop rotation, from environmental sustainability to genomics and intellectual property, our work here at Vineland spans critical areas that directly impact both farmers and consumers. Through collaborations with the Agricultural Research and Innovation Ontario, thank you, Lauren, who own this site, we're not just conducting research, but translating it into practical solutions and innovations that benefit Ontario and beyond. This investment by the province and the federal government in innovation will drive new agri-food technologies and expand Ontario's footprint in global markets. Chris mentioned the Happy Pear. Happy Pear in the US and internationally, Ember Pear in Canada, just rebranded. But that pear will go around the world, and it started in Ontario. As we celebrate our achievements and look ahead to the future, I want to express our deepest gratitude to the province of Ontario and the federal government for your unwavering support. Together, we are not only meeting but exceeding ambitious goals of the Canadian Sustainable Cap Agreement, as well as the Grow Ontario strategy, ensuring that innovation and sustainability remain at the heart of our agricultural sector. Once again, thank you very much for joining us. Everybody's continued support is instrumental as Vineland and the sector grows, innovates, and leads horticultural innovation in Canada. Thank you very much.